A samurai's katana is a handmade work of art. These blades, which are strong enough to absorb the force of a bullet and sharp enough to cut it in half at the same time, have been produced using the same methods for over 1300 years. Let's dive a little deeper into how they are made. Katanas start as a specific type of iron sand called satetsu. Satetsu was found along the base of Mount Sensu in the Shimane prefecture. This sand had particularly high concentrations of iron in it and is typically or almost blackish in color. In addition to the iron, or magnetite, the sand also included trace amounts of titanium, silica, manganese, calcium and vanadium, which all contributed to the strength of the katana. Prior to the Edo period, satetsu was quite easily found. Today, it is a depleted resource. Before this sand could begin the smelting process and become the steel known as tamahagane, the iron within it had to be separated from the quartz and other impurities it was found with. This was done through a water sluicing process, similar to what American gold miners used in the mid-19th century. After the sluicing, an iron sand that contained almost 80% pure iron remained. Iron sand with such high percentages of iron is rare, but this level of purity lends itself perfectly to the production of the highest quality of steel. For iron to become steel, it needs to be combined with carbon. This process is called smelting. In the case of the katana, the source of carbon would be charcoal, made from pine trees from the surrounding forests of pine in Shimane. The smelting was basically a layering process, starting first with a layer of charcoal, heated to a specific temperature, and then a layer of iron sand would be laid. This process would be repeated over the next 72 hours. It typically required half a dozen or more men to man the process. Once the process was completed, the clay vessel would be broken, leaving behind a beautiful chunk of tamahagane steel. It is from these chunks of steel that the swordsmithing process can begin. The swordsmithing process was a repetitive one, which began with a heated block of steel that would be pounded out into a flat surface, grooved in the middle, and then folded back onto itself. This process was repeated 10 to 13 times, and it accomplished two things. First, it would eliminate impurities, and secondly, it would create a grain within the block of tamahagane that would become a sword. The next steps in the swordsmithing process were where the sheer brilliance behind what would become a samurai sword would come in. Swordsmiths learned to control the level of carbon, and therefore the hardness of the sword, in different parts of the sword. The controlling of the levels of carbon was done through a repetitive heating and cooling process, which used the thickness of clay in different parts of the sword. A thicker layer of clay would slow down the cooling process, while a lighter layer of clay would speed up the cooling process. In the case of the katana, a thicker coat of clay would be applied to the spine of the sword, causing it to cool at a slower pace, which made it more flexible. A lighter coat of clay applied to the cutting edge of the sword made it much harder. The lighter coat also caused the edge of the sword to expand at a higher rate than the spine, which in turn gave the katana sword its iconic bow shape. It is these varying levels of carbon that also give the katana its color patterns within the blade. The final step in creating the katana is whetstone polishing. This process, which sharpens the blade to an incredible level of precision, can take up to a month. And there you have it, the entire process needed to create one katana. It is quite incredible to think that these have been produced in this handcrafted manner for over 1,000 years. It is no wonder that some of these works of art are valued well into the millions. If you have enjoyed this video, please do not forget to like, comment and share it. And if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the Samurai Odyssey YouTube channel. And until next time, sayonara.